can you tell me a bit about kerfuffle?
Yeah, sure I can. So
Thanks.
I feel like you left the planet for a bit and you've missed a couple of years, so I'm going to fill you in. So I think when did you guys sort of pack up and leave? Was it
2018?
2018. Wow, seems like yesterday, right? So 2018, and I think so Simon Whale, who you're probably aware of, pretty much, a largely outrageous character, came out of Repeat, so he made his sort of name in CRM world, and then after they were bought out and he was cut loose, sort of floated about, and we weren't quite sure where Simon was going to land up. And all of a sudden, he came out with this sort of brand of kerfuffle, and it wasn't initially clear what kerfuffle was all about and what it intended to do. And as it evolved and as time went on, it became clear that what he was aiming at was the fact that the prop tech marketplace, so just products that estate agents are using and suppliers to estate agents, I think there was something like 800 of them to choose between, and there was nowhere really that would give you any background info, reviews, benchmarking. There was nowhere where these people could get together with agents. There was nowhere for the agents to leave their feedback for them. And so Simon sort of created this marketplace for them, and that's essentially what kerfuffle does. But in and amongst all of that work, a lot of what we do is content production as well. So we are, yes, we have the podcast, which is very sort of tongue-in-cheek and a bit of fun. I do this thing that I'm going to do with you today, that's more of a kind of introspective, like find out the people behind the hype kind of thing. And obviously we spend a vast amount of time talking to suppliers and to agents about what they're trying to do to help one another. So it's fun. How is the big tall fella?
He is very big and tall. Absolutely. That has not changed. He's still growing. I mean, he puts in the beer, so you know that helps, I think. No, he's really good. He's thriving. We opened our estate agency office here on the 1st of February. So he's now onboarded 2 new estate agents, and yeah, is taking southern Spain by storm, as I'm sure you would expect.
So is that selling Spanish properties to Spanish people, or is it?
Yeah, and northern, well, and expats. It's probably 50-50. It's quite a multicultural little area. So there's obviously the Brits, but there's also Dutch, German, Belgian, American, Canadian, Danish. They're a really cool type of people. French, obviously, and
do you feel like,
I think those are probably the main people.
And do you feel like sort of getting out of England and meeting all these sort of different people, it sort of opens your horizons a little bit, your mind a bit? Because I think one of the things that we're guilty of over here is we're very, although we have got a mishmash of different people here and we've got immigration and stuff, we don't tend to socialize with one another that much. So we're quite sectarian like that. And I one thing I admire about sort of Brits abroad, if you like, is that they take advantage of the fact that they're now European citizens of the world, and they can go out there and see how it's done elsewhere.
It depends on the people. So where we are, there are definitely groups of Brits, for example. There may be other nationalities as well, but there's certainly groups of Brits that don't speak Spanish, won't learn, aren't really interested in integrating, and just want to hang out with one another. And you know, fair enough, that's their decision. There are also other people that are a little bit more integrated in various ways, and then you've got people at the complete other end that probably consider themselves more Spanish than English. There's one of the girls that works with us. I mean, she grew up here from the age of 7, so even though her mum and dad are English, she's far more Spanish in her style of life and things like that. but I think for Mathew, it's been really eye-opening, because he's not really been a big traveller before. And I think that's really nice.
I was in a mastermind group run by Stephen Brown, and I met Mathew, and I wouldn't have put him down as the sort of adventurous, I'm just going to give up the day job and go and live my dream sort of guy. So there must have been some sort of tectonic shift there in mindset. And
weirdly, you just assumed incorrectly, of all things. So when he set up Orchards Estates, when Mathew set up Orchards Estates, and he's still got the notebook now, the first line of the notebook is sell the business, to buy a van and travel the world to kite surf all the beaches. So that was already, before I even met him, that was already his intention, was to build that business at quite a scale, quite a speed, to reach a certain level that he could then just walk away from it and get the van of his dreams and just travel the world and see all the beaches he's ever wanted to see. And he's still struggling a little bit now with the fact that that's not what he's doing. As a me.
But it takes that, well, because of practicalities, I'm assuming that lifestyle costs money as well. So you need to kind of keep going and keep earning and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not the numbers guy, so I can't actually be I'd love to be honest about the numbers, but I just don't understand them. For me, 3s and 6s and 9s all do that. 3s and 8s often do that. 7s and 4s. I'm very dyslexic.
We get it. Keep Elle away from the till. It's no good.
Keep me away. Absolutely. I'm dreadful. Which was hilarious when I was a estate agent full time, because I had to be really careful about negotiating offers and stuff. It was a real focused thing. It wasn't an easy thing for me to overcome at all. I think the tectonic shift was, we'd already been talking about maybe retiring and things like that, but getting together was the biggest tectonic shift, because when that happened, both our worlds turned upside down, and our workaholism, which it is, had a new focus. And so that was very confusing for both of us, because we've both been workaholics our whole lives, and then all of a sudden we were completely besotted with one another in a different way than either of us had been in the past. And I think that was really overwhelming.
So can we go back to the beginning of the story then, and find out, because I read something this week, I think you put something out this week, that originally you were not intended to be an estate agent. Wasn't your focus on medicine? Yeah,
absolutely. So I left school.
You wanted to be a doctor?
Yeah, definitely. But that didn't happen for me until my 20s. So I left school with an agent to become an actress. So I went to London for a couple of years and was doing that. And it turns out actually acting isn't only about Shakespeare and beauty. It's often about crowbarring young women getting their tops off. So I felt a little bit disillusioned and went back to Somerset, where my family were, and then ended up getting involved with a psychology degree with the Open University. And I was watching Little House of Tiny Tearaways at the time, and found out about this thing called clinical psychology, and just thought it'd be absolutely fascinating. Did my degree with the OU over 6 years, whilst working full time and volunteering, to make sure that I was getting lots of different experiences of helping people with eating disorders, learning disabilities, and then that eased into actually working in hospitals as a healthcare assistant. And I found out that I could do a 4-year medical school degree instead of a 3-year clinical psychology PhD thing. So I got into medical school, which was super exciting. And then I discovered that actually I really liked surgery, and cutting things up was awesome, and it was just incredible. But my papa, like my stepdad who brought me up, he got really poorly. His dementia just didn't go so well, and my mum was falling apart. I'm an only child, and I was like, I wasn't coping with all of this. Oh, it's such an intense course. I completely failed it. And my mum and papa needed me. So everything went Pete Tong. And I went back to Somerset again and went, oh God, what am I going to do now? And then I was going to business breakfast networking meetings for my mum's business because she's in retail.
She
and
does
I met
bras,
Matthew.
right?
She does do bras. That's
she
right.
does bras because I think she does bras that properly support women who need support. That's how much of I've done a lot of research on this interview. Let me tell you, people, Nate does not spare any expense on researching these things.
I appreciate your preparation, sir. Thank you. So yes, and I was thinking of maybe going into retail with her. So I'm a trained bra fitter as well, and I'm just not that great at it, to be honest. Whereas she's passionate about it and amazing. So I was going to do these networking meetings.
Me, to be fair,
is it? Yeah. Everyone needs a hobby.
Everyone
and I met Matthew at a networking meeting, and he said, "Here's my card. I might have something for you." And yeah, so I joined Orchards Estates after only 6 weeks of them being open.
And so, when is this? Is this 2016?
2014.
Okay. Yeah. So let me ask you then, how do we go from working with somebody or for somebody? How does the shift into sort of having a full-time relationship with them happen? And how do the rest of the staff react to that?
Ooh. I mean, Orchards Estates, one of our USPs was that we were available 24/7, and we meant it.
Yeah.
We really meant it. So, I mean, Matthew and me were working together 12 hours a day, 6-7 days a week. And so was Tom, but he's extremely happily married to the beautiful Esther. And we were just spending more and more time with one another as a family, really. That's what it felt like. It felt more like a family. And then because no one else is free in the evenings, you end up still hanging out together because no one else is free because you finished work so late, and, you know, all those kind of things. And you've only really got each other in common because you're so obsessed with the job, you know. So even if you do try and hang out with other people,
you'll end up boring them with your tales of a state agency.
Really boring. Yeah, really boring. I remember one New Year's Eve, Matt and me and our respective partners went out for New Year's Eve. And he and I just spent the whole evening talking together because we were like, oh yeah, and that client and this client. And we were just trying to, like, it was just all negotiating about the business and everything. And our other partners were like, it was so awkward. And then we both ended up single at the same time. And
that's
I don't know. Yeah, the atmosphere. Yeah, the atmosphere felt different, and we were both really freaked out about it. We spent about 5 hours one evening in the pub saying, no, we're not getting together because it's really bad for business, and the business is our baby, and the business is our priority, and we're absolutely not going to jeopardize the team, the business, our plans, nothing. Friday night, unfortunately, that changed. Did a little kiss,
the best laid plans. So
yeah, literally.
Feel it sort of slowly shifting and like a snowball sort of gathering, and
yeah, I think so. I don't know if it was a slow shift. It was just like all of a sudden it was like something's different. And it was really weird. And then Sunday, Esther and Tom said, "Have you got something to tell Mummy and Daddy?" to Matt, because he was over there for breakfast, and he was like, "No." And then he messaged me. He's like, they already worked it out. And they said, thank God, we've been waiting for this for months, if not 18 months, you know. And his kids said the same. My mum said the same. Our other suppliers said the same. And
it's interesting, as an outsider that sort of had very little working knowledge of both of you. I've met Matt a couple of times by that stage, but you guys were always, even before it was popular, very visible on social media. You used to do regular sort of video updates. What I loved about you guys, and in actual fact, I used to roll my eyes, oh, we're doing it again. But now everybody's doing it, and I've done it as well. You used to do a really good snapshot of what was happening in the office, somebody accepting an offer, somebody helping somebody, and we just, at the time, if you're cynical as I am, you just dismiss it as, oh, look, Miss Goody Two Shoes again. She's out there being super agent. And in actual fact, it was just a precursor of what we know today is what you need to do in order to convey to the public that you are doing the best job you possibly can. And not only that, you're enthusiastic and passionate about it. And during those videos, it was clear something had changed, because this smile started appearing ear to ear for both of you, not just you. And all of a sudden you could see that had sort of blossomed. And it was a sort of a great period of time for you guys, because it then nicely coincided with you getting probably the greatest accolade in the industry, which is best estate agent in the whole of the UK.
Yeah, but we were only number 2 for lettings, so they got in quite a lot of trouble when we got back.
yeah, it's hard when you underperform, but that must have, did that come as a shock to you, or did you know that you were the best?
No, we were when we got the invite, you know, because like the marketing machine was out and about, wasn't it, about that event, and it was a new event. It hadn't happened in the way that it happened that time. It had a rebrand and all of this kind of stuff. And we got all the information about, oh, come, you must come. And Matt and me said, well, we're not going to that. What a waste of time. We'd rather be here doing business. You know, all these people go to these beautiful events, and it's just a jolly, and that's fine, but that's not, you know, that's not what we want to do. We want to do business, and that's our passion. So we just kept saying no thanks, just ignoring. And then Peter actually rang Mathew and said, Peter Knight, the owner, founder, I don't know,
the Property Academy Papa, that's who
this is it, the big guy, rang Mathew and said, hi, are you coming to the event? And Matt said, no, I'm not spending that kind of money. I could be here making money. That's ludicrous. Peter said, I really think maybe you ought to come. And probably not that squeaky. And sorry, Peter. And so Matt said, repeated, no. Peter said, look, if you come and you're not happy with the outcome, I'll refund your money. So Mathew said, well, I can't say fairer than that. Fair enough. Do you want to come with me to me? I was like, yeah, party. And then, so we knew that it was important that we were there because that had happened. So we figured we were up for some kind of, you know, accolade. Someone was going to say, oh, good job.
Yeah.
But we had absolutely, and I can remember the minute they said our name, we just went, and then had to get up because we were going, oh, lovely. Hang on, that was, oh my God. And you can see in the interview afterwards, Matt's just cool as a cucumber. And I'm going,
yeah, you were a little bit giddy. I
was just horrified. I was like, I'm not ready for this. So yeah.
Saw that. And you know what? You got quite a warm reception from pretty much everybody. But there were things said behind the scenes, and I'm not saying this to sort of get at you now, because I think you probably knew it at the time. You guys weren't with the in crowd. You weren't one of the usual regulars that turn up at every conference. You're not the sort of people that rub shoulders with the right people. And there are people that work very hard at getting awards, and it's not just on improving the standards in their agency. It's all about going to the right places, being seen with the right people. And that's also a nice route into awards, because when you put your submission in, they know who you are, and oh, I know them, they're one of us, okay, it's all right, they're going to get a thing. So I'm sure there was a lot of bitching afterwards where people went, they're the #1 agency, and no chance. No one's ever heard of them. They operate in a corner of the UK that, in terms of market significance, is very here or there. Their numbers aren't particularly impressive, and yet you did it. And so to me, that was lovely, because, well, it did two things. It did show that the EA Masters was going to try and be slightly different. And there was a bit of an evolution. It wasn't just the glitterati turning up to collect the awards that they'd already paid for. It was actually going to include an element of performance and benchmarking. And you guys had managed to tick that box. You're nice people, which also makes people more cynical. No, well, you are sort of. You are not behind the scenes.
I think Matt would refute that. I think Matt would refute that he's a nice person, and I would certainly back him up on that. I think he's
all right. He has his moments. He once turned up to Mastermind wearing open-toed sandals, and do you know what? I never trust a man wearing sandals in the UK ever. There's no excuse for it. You do what you want in Spain, but not here.
He loves his flip-flops. He loves the flip-flop.
He does love a flip-flop. So we're in on this story, and you are riding high on the award, and you're ever more visible. Did you feel a certain sense of pressure after getting the award that you had to stay at the top, and you had to stay front and center of people's attention?
No, I don't think so. And I certainly, and I mean, just to go back to your previous point about bitching at the time, I mean, neither Matt nor I are very good at that kind of schmoozing with the right people at the right time, because we're both a bit too heart on sleeve and a bit too honest in certain ways, you know, in a foot in mouth kind of way rather than in a authentic kind of way. And I think that's why we don't do that, because we're bad at it. And I think therefore the pressure afterwards didn't exist for us either, because we already didn't really know what was going on with other people, because all we do is get on with what we're doing. We do what we're good at doing, and therefore we do a lot of that. And therefore we don't really notice what else is going on, because we don't really pay any attention. Matt might have a bit more of a clue, but I have absolutely no idea what's going on.
So it was just a matter of the day after getting that award. Yeah, you've had some late nights, you've had a bit of champagne, but Monday morning, it's back in the office and back to work again.
Well, yeah, what else are we going to do? I mean, we tried to do a bit of marketing around it.
Disappointingly normal and grounded. I want a tale where you went off on a bender and it all. No, it didn't happen, right?
Well, Matt told me off because he said I was too drunk on the night. I don't think I was, because I know how drunk I can get. And I think I was remarkably restrained.
There's only one time I've seen you lose all restraint, almost to the, I think the extent that you were almost pissing your own pants, and that was on a digger. Do you remember that incident?
Do I remember I talk about that nearly every day. One of our clients has currently got a digger for sale, and I'm trying to find a way to raise that money. I love diggers. I love lorries. I love HGVs, and I love the men that drive them. And I can't explain it. It's been this way for a long time.
Okay.
That digger was. I mean, it sort of goes, third time in my life ever was the engagement. Second time in my life was the marriage, the wedding day, and the first time is the digger. I mean, it was just
a message to all truckers out there. We've got a live one here.
Oh my God. I was sat next to a trucker once at a birthday party. That was probably fourth. He was handsome as hell.
Okay. We're veering off estate agency. Let's go back into that. And so we're there now, nearing we're getting closer to 2018 at this point. Your business is going well. You're very visible. Your use of social media was always on point and excellent, to the point that it felt at some point that you were just sort of almost narrating your own days and documenting it. And some of us sort of felt, oh, well, here you go. They're just literally, somebody's farted, they're saying somebody's farted, and that's how it's going to be. But in actual fact, this gave the public, who have no idea what estate agents do when they can't see them, they gave them a little window into how you guys work, and it seemed to be tremendously earnest and honest. I think that was the image that Orchards had, and it was communicated to the public quite nicely.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, I think, and I think you guys were pioneers of that. And so you've been doing video content for a long time.
Yeah.
How did it feel at first? Because I know a lot of people get. I mean, you're a natural performer. Obviously, you'd been through trying to be an actress, and you're clearly a very exuberant sort of character. Is talking to camera natural for you?
No, it's horrendous. I hate Zoom. I hate this because I find I spend a lot of time looking at myself and going, oh God, don't do that. Oh God, your lips are revolting. And just, I hate it. And I spend so much time playing with my hair because I'm nervous. And then it makes the hair stick, and the whole thing's revolting. I was talking to another agent a couple of weeks ago about this, and actually if I'm doing a recording for myself, so instead of a live like now, I'll do the Chris Watkins trick of putting the post-it note over the screen so I can't see myself because it's abhorrent to me. It also takes me an awful number of takes, you know, and I think people forget that that actually what you see go out finally doesn't necessarily mean it's the first time that it got recorded.
But it works though, doesn't it? I mean, it really works.
Absolutely. I mean, my favorite thing to do is a live, because you can press the button and then you can waffle and then you can turn it off and then you can forget all about it. But you've put some content out, someone somewhere is going to watch it. And as long as it's reasonable content and you're not just being an oaf, unless that's your thing. I mean, it depends what your brand is. But I mean, this morning, for example, Matt's youngest son messaged me and said, oh, I watched your live yesterday. It was really interesting. Thank you. Well, he's a guitarist. He's got nothing to do with the state agency. Yeah. But it was still an interesting piece from his perspective, because I was talking about asking for the business, because I've made that mistake before where I had to actually ask for the business. And so that was actually a good life lesson for him as well, at 23 or whatever he is. So that's when, for me, video content's really useful, is to do lives. And actually, the things like the Facebook algorithm have changed lately. So if you did, not you, if one were to test it and put out your video content that's recorded, the reach is actually a lot lower than any lives that you do, because the algorithm really loves lives right now. And because everybody, when we started doing video content, it was new. So then like the algorithm was loving it and pushing it out there for you. But things have moved on. I mean, that was years ago. So now it's all about lives on the algorithm. Goodness knows what it will be next week, next month. But I think that's why I prefer a live as well, because you don't have time to faff about it. You know, you can just waffle, turn it off and get on with your day.
And are we going to see you on TikTok anytime soon?
I started a TikTok channel just about living off grid and all of that kind of stuff, and farm life and being with the horses. But yeah, I'm toying with it for the well-being in sales type thing.
Can I give you some? I'm going to give you one person to watch. It's a youngish lady that I interviewed probably about a month or two ago. Her name is Megan18. And if you look at the TikTok content she's putting out for landlords, and it is bang on point. They're just very short. It's here's a tip on this, and it's a really nice way of using the medium, because I look at TikTok and first of all I fall down one of those TikTok rabbit holes where you just continue.
Hours.
Oh, that's interesting. And you know, a 1 minute view turns into 3 hours, and you've lost your whole evening. So I think that's easy to do, but I think also if you can manage short bits of content, and appreciate that our attention spans these days are being degraded anyway, because we're being managed in this way by the media. So I think check that out. She's amazing, and
I will.
her content is bang on. Let's talk estate agency again. So
hit me.
You're all amazing, everything's going well. All of a sudden, you're gone. So and well, you didn't just go, you got married and then you went. But I mean, this decision to shut down or to pass on your business to somebody else, first of all, for somebody that's built it or helped build it from scratch, that's going to be like handing over a child to somebody else. So that's got to be difficult. Talk us through what happened. What was the
So Matt proposed to me after we'd been together for only about 6 months. I think it was actually on our 6-month anniversary, which, you know, was magical. But we didn't want to, we only wanted to get married at a certain venue, and they didn't have any times that fitted around the business for another 18 months or so. So I think those 18 months were quite difficult because we were, as I said earlier on, you know, we were workaholics, but then all of a sudden kind of wanted to spend time with someone that we really felt got us, and you know, that whole love thing really got in the way. It was quite difficult in some ways, and we were like, oh, maybe we should, you know, maybe we should spend more time with each other, maybe we should lead a healthier
working together, and that working relationship sometimes just you and everything's work instead of everything's relationship.
No, I think it was just that we felt like we felt a bit torn, I suppose, because we wanted to spend all our time with our baby. It's just that our baby now was sort of less interesting than that person was, and that was really confusing. It didn't matter that we were in a relationship at work because he'd been my boss for so many hours. You know, it didn't really matter that it hadn't been years when you tot up all the hours that we worked. So that relationship didn't really, we think, change that much for us. But we'd been umming and ahhing about maybe whether, you know, we needed to do something slightly differently just for our health. And then unfortunately, my best friend got diagnosed with a brain tumor. So she turned 30 in September, was diagnosed in October, and then died in November. And that smacked us in the face. I mean, I don't know how Matt felt about it. They weren't chummy, but you know, it was just like, actually, life is so short, and are we really going to care that we put the good content out on social media, or you know, that we sold that person's house, or are we going to value every second that we get to spend together? And I think we were, you know, that was horrid, basically. And I think that was the kick up the backside that we you know, that was the, shall we maybe, bam, yes, we're doing it right now.
That you needed to become full-time hippies.
Completely.
So we've got, in actual fact, you mentioned that. I remember Matt sort of almost saying goodbye to us at the mastermind group and saying, this is what I'm going to do. And he did actually cite that life-changing event in terms of your friend being unwell and sadly losing that battle. And those are the sort of turning points. I think everybody has those sliding doors moments, don't they, where something happens in life and it just puts everything else in perspective. And yes, you can be successful and you can be good at what you're doing. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do that forever. And just like as we're seeing now, because I mean, the reason we're talking now is all you guys disappeared in the most lovely way. You turned into frizzy-haired, sun-frazzled people that were really enjoying life on top of a mountain, and that's awesome. But then I noticed you pop up again in my streams and videos and all sorts of stuff over the past couple of weeks, and I thought, oh, this is interesting. She's back. And my first instinct was, the money's run out, guys. They're coming back to us.
Oh, thanks. Thanks so much.
Well, so go on. So we're living this dream. We've left the UK, and at a time, by the way, I think where the UK's relationship with Europe was entering that toxic phase anyway, and all the rhetoric that was going on back at home. You just sort of gone, and we're out of it. What makes you come back?
Coronavirus, to be honest. I think our lockdowns over here were quite different. Oh, sorry. bang the camera. Our lockdowns over here are quite different to yours over there. And when it sort of first kicked off, it was the 13th of March here. So we'd been here a year and 13 days. And then it was lockdown for 3 months. And I mean solid, pure lockdown. Only one person was allowed in the car to drive to the shop. And we weren't allowed to see other people. And it was kind of relaxing for us in a way, and it was kind of beautiful in a way, and we got a lot of pleasure out of it. But as it dragged on, and it's been 18 months or so now, actually you start, it's that kind of enforced in, oh, the word's gone, internal checking, isn't it? Because after a while you're like, okay, so what else is there in my life? What else is there in my life? What else is there in my life? And that, I think that was, you know, everyone's been through some sort of weird difficulty over this period, whether that's been someone passing away or, you know, just like us internally reflecting and working out who and what we are. But also other people have done it as well. So a couple of the ladies that we're now working with, they were like, you know, what's really in my life, what's happening, blah, 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 blah. And then we're like, actually, you'd been an amazing estate agent, and you'd been amazing, they're called hestors here, so it's a bit like a solicitor. And it was just like, do you know what, we've had a proper break now, you know, and there's so many opportunities, and these people are incredible, and we've got the opportunity to set up a lifestyle business instead of Orchards Estates, which was Matt's baby and was really driven to get to that point. And instead we can kind of, you know, we can still use all the things that we enjoyed using, and, you know, we missed our friends and like people like yourself, you know, where we didn't get to like see you online anymore, and, you know, all those little things. And yeah, I don't know, it was just like, actually it would be really cool to go back to it, because we've had the break that we really needed. We've mourned, we're no longer burnt out, we've spent a lot of time together, and that's been amazing. And we can, I don't know, create another baby, I suppose, but it's your second baby, so you're not as helicopter parent.
So, okay. Do you agree or disagree that estate agents tend to be a certain type of individual, and they, as a result of that, and as a result of the way our industry is, we do tend to burn out, and we do tend to struggle with mental health in a way that, you know, we don't talk about it open. Now we do. It's a buzzword now, so we talk about it. It's cool. A diversity, mental health. Let's get on it. It's all, you know, it is the thing of today. But let's face it, we've been a little bit cuckoo for a while, and that burnout that you guys sense, I think everybody gets it. And so it's how you handle it. You can either get more aggressive and fill your life with more testosterone and keep driving that business and driving it, and then the money doesn't make you happy at that point, because what are you doing it for? Or you can sort of start to take stock of things. But you now have a business that's sort of set up to coach people and to help people, and one of the things that you're trying to help them with is that state of being, is that sort of that thing. So you've been there and come back from it. So tell us a bit about that.
Well, I think with my psychology and medical-ish background, and my own mental health difficulties, because I've suffered depression since I was about 13. I've been on tablets for donkey's years to try and help that. And I'm getting better at it now, so that's awesome. But I think people like, you know, Prince William and Kate talking about mental health is, even pre-corona, it was starting to become something that was more okay to talk about. And yeah, it has become a bit zeitgeisty and a little bit buzzwordy, but that doesn't take away from the importance of it. And I think because of what we've been through and the way that we went through it, I'd really like to help people, because I know that when I was struggling, the only people that were noisy were testosterone fueled
toxic white males.
No, absolutely not. I don't agree with that. I think that, Matthew's a toxic white male, but there's so much you can learn from him. He's incredible. He's a powerhouse, and that's phenomenal. It's just that there is also space for a more feminine energy. And I don't mean that has to be a female, Matthew's not a female energy person. He's just testosterone. He's pure alpha male. And that's incredible. It's just that when I needed something else, there wasn't anything else in the industry that I could identify, that I could see. Now, if I can help other people be what I couldn't find, then that would be incredible. And I know that I've had a mentoring background because I used to volunteer with so many different things that I've had quite a lot of training in it. But I've also just started with Tony Robbins. I am not your guru. I love his voice. He actually has a life coaching training program. So I've just started on that as well to make sure that I'm leveling up my skills. And I think part of that as well is related to the marketing, because I think a lot of people in sales and estate and letting agents have historically been white middle-aged gentlemen. That's not to say that there shouldn't be those people. It's just that 90%, if not more, of the housing decisions are made by women. So where's the female aimed at marketing? And I think that's where the social media that we were doing really nailed that, because actually it became more personal, it became more personable, and it attracted more females. And it's them that are making 9 out of 10 of the decisions, really. Maybe not the case with like buying an investment property, and maybe not the case for landlords, talking in broad stereotypes. But I think those two go together. I think it's time for a slightly more female energy, and I don't mean women, I just mean a bit more relationship, a bit more nurture.
Whether it is women or just the female energy, it's there right now. I mean, if you look around the industry, and we can name drop, but there are there's loads of people out there making this very active effort to have these sort of conversations. And what we're talking about is not just how you add it to your bottom line, not just what your routine is and how you sort of get up at 5 a.m. and jog 25 kilometers and everything's great in your life because you've got this mindset. It's more than that. We're getting to actually have those conversations and understand that it's probably just as important just to check in on people every now and again and say, hey, how you doing? And when you get I'm okay, thanks, fine, and just go, but how are you doing? And then just to sort of have that conversation. And there are people in the industry that have consistently done that. I mean, we spoke about Stephen Brown. He's done that for years.
Of course he has. And which is why he's so adored.
He is adored, and I don't think you can fake that kind of care that you give people, because it takes of your time and whether you like it or not. And you'll know this from a clinical psychology background. When you listen to other people's problems, that in itself has an effect on you, and you need to go away and deal with it. So just listening to people talking about their problems all day can be detrimental to you. So you need to get on top of it as well. So I think it's huge what's happening at the moment, and it's very, very interesting. It'll be interesting to see where it goes next.
Of course, but that's true of everything, really. I think as well that the reason I'm so enthusiastic about coaching with well-being is because of the accolade that we received back along. I'm not doing it from a purely life coaching, counseling kind of environment, because actually so much of what estate agency and letting agency is about your processes. But I know them, and my clients know that I know them, because I've got that evidence to say, actually, this is affecting your well-being. What's affecting your well-being? Well, your processes aren't in place. So I think that's why I'm quite excited about the prospect of being able to at last openly combine those two things, and then with a sprinkle of female energy digital marketing on top, which, as you've already said, we were honing back along. I think that that pyramid of success is really, you know, it's a really positive outlook. I think it's a real triumvirate of being able to make some changes for people.
Now, coming back into the industry after this break, do you think we've made progress without you, kind of thing? Do you and I'm not saying without you as in because you weren't there we've made the progress. I'm saying since you sometimes you need to step away from something to understand, because I've been working through it, so I see these changes, but it's not until I really sort of look back and think, oh my gosh, is that where we were 5 years ago? Look at where we are now. But you've got this more stark contrast, because you shut the door on something for a couple of years, open that door again. Has it welcomed you back in the same way? And do you feel more at home in it now than you would have done then?
I think that what it's done for me, and maybe this is true of a lot of people through the coronavirus, is with the lockdowns and stuff, you really noticed what you missed, you know, and I think I've really personally missed the community of estate agents and letting agents that we've become even internet friends with, like yourself. You know, I love watching you online. It's hilarious. You're obviously a genius stand-up comic, and you know, and things like that. It's things like the community for me that I miss, and actually, you know, feeling like, oh, I know this world, you know. So like when we weren't in it at all, and we were in a brand new country, can't barely speak the language, and you know, everything's very unfamiliar. So coming back to a estate agency is like putting on some comfy slippers, you know, because you're like, oh, I know how this works. I know how to do this really well. I know how to provide value. And for me, that's one of my like core values, is providing value. And I know how to do that here. And that gives me such satisfaction, which actually growing vegetables wasn't hitting the same.
Yeah, it takes a long time to grow vegetables as well.
It's really boring, David. That's what no one tells you.
We found that down over lockdown as well. We started to grow stuff, and that first couple of days where it's all shooting, you go, oh, look, it's amazing. We're going to have cucumbers soon. 3 months later, you're like, yeah, we're going to have cucumbers soon, you know. Don't even.
It's and oh no, just no. It's really boring, and it's more expensive than it needs to be, and the whole situation. I love gardening. I do not enjoy growing vegetables. That's what I've discovered. It's a total waste of time.
Instead, you can help us grow decent standards of estate agent.
Well, there's some hope, isn't there? There's some hope.
I mean, that might be your niche. So welcome back formally to the market. It's good to have you.
Wonderful to be back.
Hope to see a little bit more of Mathew as well. And I'm liking the whole new, both of you have got this big hair aesthetic going on.
Big hair.
Is that a heat thing? Is it a sort of a moisture thing? What is it? What's the
for Mathew, he had long hair as a young man, apparently. And then he started his first ever sort of proper job in Abbey, like the building society, and they said he had to cut it all off. So I think for him it's middle-age crisis, getting back to how he really feels inside. And for me, it's hot, and my hair goes big when it's hot.
Fair enough.
Nothing more exciting than that. I wash it and I walk out, and I'm like Monica from Friends when they go to Barbados. It just goes. There's nothing I can do to control it, so I've given up on that.
Nothing wrong with big hair. I think big hair's making a comeback.
I'm so in right now, it hurts.
Right. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. I'm going to let you go because I've taken up almost an hour of your time now, and
blown by.
I'm getting boring, and you're going to want to move on. So I'm going to ask you. You've very kindly given me an hour of your time. If you could spend an hour with anybody, to have an hour of anybody's time, be it in the industry, out of the industry, alive or dead, who would you spend that hour with?
Mathew.
Really? Ah, is he? When he watches this, he'll be like, "Oh my God."
No, he told me to say that.
Oh, Well, I was going to say, if he watches this back and
Oh,
goes,
sorry.
actually, I'd rather spend that hour with the dog, then, you know, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for what Matthew would rather do for that hour. But for me, an hour with Matthew is never an hour wasted, whether that's within the industry or without the industry. He's my motivation. He's my inspiration. He infuriates me at least once an hour, and I enjoy that challenge sometimes. And he also looks after me. So I think yeah.
Can I just say that is both revolting and heartwarming, all in equal measure. That's an answer that yeah, it's great. I'm glad that you found like your soulmate and that you're spending that quality time with them.
Yeah, no, he's a cool dude.
Question then can be, when they make this movie of your life,
Imminent.
I hope so.
Oh yeah.
When we find that, who's going to play Elle Wood?
I asked Matthew, because I don't do anything without asking Matthew first, and he said Margot Robbie. So I'm gonna wholeheartedly agree with that, because that girl is fine.
Yeah.
I think actually it's because we watched Suicide Squad quite a few times, and he feels like her personality and that is mine.
I think Matthew might have a Margot Robbie thing going on, right?
Can you blame him?
No.
Wolf of Wall Street. Holy moly.
She's gorgeous. She seems
and
like
the Big Short when she's in the bath. Oh. Yeah.
Hey, do you know what though? I'm thinking now you could get back to acting now, because that industry that you left that was kind of very sexualized back then, it's cleaning up its act a bit, isn't it? No.
I don't know. I'm not in it. I'm not in it, and I haven't been since I was 19 or something like that. So I mean, I'm just an eight.
You don't have this kind of unfulfilled part of you where you need to perform.
No, actually, the older I've got, the further I've gotten away from it, just due lack of opportunity, really. I didn't really enjoy amateur dramatics. I did it quite a few times, and I just, yeah, I don't know really. If someone came up to me and said, "I'll be in this movie or be in this play really," I'm more the theatre girl.
What we do, because I think it would be quite fun this year. We all hate Zoom. We're all zoomed out by now, and we want to see each other face to face. But we've actually found that we can use a bit of video every now and again. It's a major efficiency. What if this year we do an estate agent industry pantomime? Yeah. Now that's
oh my god, I love panto. I've never been in a panto, and I love panto.
You know, I've already asked Pete tonight if he will play the widow Twankey.
Yes!
And I can see him in that dress. This is going to be magical.
Oh my god, I'm so excited.
As hell, but it's going to be magical, let me tell you.
If it's not camp, it's not panto, excuse me.
It's going to be great. It's going to be absolutely fun. Elle, thank you so much for giving me your time.
Thank you for having me.
Promise me you'll check back in with us in the future, because I want to see where the next chapter of this story comes from and what happens.
Sure, whenever.
Give my love to Matthew and the rest of the big.
I will. Thank you.
We'll talk to you again soon.
All right, my darling. Have a lovely afternoon. Thank you so much.